A very good morning, dear students. Welcome back to the computer science online classes. So, in this session, I am going to discuss a new question paper. So, that is model question paper 3. So, from this question paper, I am going to discuss questions from part A and part B sections. So, in the last sessions, we have discussed model question paper 1 and 2. So, in this question paper, we'll solve on questions from model question paper 3. Okay, so let us begin this class. So first question goes like this: what does IC stands for? So what does IC stands for? It is a repeated question. It is asked in almost all the question papers. So it is an important question. Expansion you have to write here. So IC means here integrated circuits. So IC is an integrated circuits. Okay. So expansion of IC integrated circuit. So next question, give an example for non-impact printer. So printers, there is a classification. So one is impact printer, another one is non-impact printer. So impact printer will have impression on the paper. So for example, it may be a dot matrix printer or it may be a line printer. So like that it will have impression. So impact printer will have impression on the paper, whereas non-impact printer will not have any impression on the paper. Okay, so for example, non-impact printer or like laser printer, inkjet printer, like that. So impact printer example is dot matrix printer. Okay, but laser printer is an example for non-impact printers. So non-impact printer means there is no impression on the paper. So there will be only the ink or the letters will be spreaded on the paper, but there is no impression on the paper. So that is the meaning of non-impact printer. Example is inkjet printer, or you can write laser printer. Okay, so next question we'll move on. So what do you mean by or define debugging? So define debugging in the sense it is a question which is coming from problem solving methodologies chapter. So what does it mean? So bug means here error. So bug is called as error. So what we have to define here? Debug. So debug means what? We have to detect and correct the errors in the program is referred as debugging. So first we have to detect where the error is. After that we have to correct the errors where the error is occurred in the program. So this stage is also called as verification. So debugging is also called as verification, and testing is also called as validation. So what does debugging means? The process of detecting and correcting the errors in a program is referred to as debugging. Okay, so this stage is also called as verification. Okay, so next question, what is an identifier? So what is an identifier? This question comes from C++ chapter. So introduction to C++ chapter is there, right? 7th chapter. So from that chapter we will be having this question. So identifiers are the names given for the various programming elements such as variables, arrays and functions. So names, whatever the names you are going to specify for the programming elements. So programming elements can be a variable, it can be a constant, it can be a function, it can be an array. So for those variable elements, programming elements, so the name, whatever the name you have to give for the various programming elements are called as identifiers. So here from the identifiers part of the chapter we will be getting one more question. So that is also an important question. So that question is called as write the rules for identifiers, right? So that question is there, right? So that question is very important for the examination purpose also. Okay, so next question we'll move on. So name the manipulators defined in ioman ip.h. So this is what? This is one of the header file which is present in C++ program. ioman ip.h is one of the header file. So manipulator means what? Which is used to change the meaning of the output. So here there are many of the manipulators which are defined under ioman ip.h. So some of them are setw, endl, decimal, hexadecimal, setfill, set precision. Setw, set fill, set precision. So out of this you can write any one of the manipulator. So that must be defined under ioman ip.h. So similarly iostream.h will have which header files? Which functions like cout, cin, right? So these are the header files which will be present in iostream.h. These are the functions which will be present in iostream.h. Okay. So next, what is a selection statement? So the statements are used to select a statement or set of statements for execution based on some condition. So based on some condition, if you are executing certain statements, so then that is called as selection statement. So selection statement means we are selecting the statement. We can select one statement or two statements based on some condition. So why we have to select means for the purpose of execution. So for the purpose of execution of the program, we have to select either one statement or we can select either two statements. Okay. So next, give the significance of array subscript. Give the significance of array subscript. So array subscript means what? So it will be written like this, right? So here array name will be there. Here how many elements are there in that particular array. So that is size of an array is presented. So why it is used? So an array subscript allows the method to display the value of particular element in an array. So which element is present where? So that is written by using array subscript. So for example, see here. If you are having like this, so here I am filling the array elements. So if I want to select 30th element from this array A, so what I have to write, how you have to access the 30th element? So that is A of 0, A of 1, so A of 2. Next last element is A of 3. So here the 30th element can be accessed by the particular value, array index value called as 2. So that is mentioned as A of 2. So this is called as, this is the one of the significance of array subscript. So array subscript can be used to display the value of particular element in an array. Okay. So next question, define local variables. So local variables means what? So the variables which are declared inside the main function. So inside main function is there, right? So like this curly braces. So within this curly braces, there, if you are declaring the variables, so then it is called as local variables. Okay. So next question, which is the major component which is used in first generation computer systems? So first generation computer systems, it has major electronic component called as vacuum tubes. So vacuum tubes were used as the major electronic component for first generation systems. So similarly, second generation systems will have transistors. Third generation systems will have ICs. Fourth generation systems will have VLSI and microprocessors. fifth generation systems will be based on artificial intelligence. Okay, so next question is expand OMR and OCR. OMR means optical mark reader. Optical mark reader. OCR means optical character recognition. So OMR is used in evaluation of multiple choice questions, is there, right? So for there we are going to use this OMR for correcting so that is for evaluating the answer scripts. Okay, so these are all the 1 mark questions, so which is very very important. So all of you should go through these 1 mark questions and you should write in the assignment book. So next we'll see, so that is part B questions. So here, so part B questions. So first question is explain the role of computers in education. So in education, how the computers are used. So first one is learning the subject with audio and video. So that is we can play a video so that we can learn the new subjects. Okay. So next, in the creation of marks cards, attendance preparation, fees collection, so everywhere in every platforms of education we are going to use this computers. So to learn the new concepts, so new programs, we have to want this computers. So next, to learn different languages like programming languages, C++, Tally, everything we have to do in computers only, right? So for all these purpose, computers are required. So like this, it will be helpful in the education field. See, for the creation of marks cards, we have to prepare for 100 or 200 members, we can prepare at a maximum of 5 or 10 minutes we can prepare if the data is ready. So next, for the attendance calculations, so we can do that attendance registration process, everything. And for fees collection also, we can use some softwares, and then we can mention the how much amount of fees is collected from each student. And with the using of this computers in education, we can extract many informations, is it right? So like this way, this role of computers plays an important role in education. Okay, so here we can write any of the 2 points for 2 marks and you have to explain little bit. So next question is very very important question. Write the differences between volatile memory and non-volatile memory. So here, so you have to answer this question like this. First you have to make a column. So first one side will be volatile memory, one more side will be non-volatile memory. So volatile memory means it is a temporary memory. So first you have to write this point. So volatile memory means it is a temporary memory, but non-volatile memory is permanent memory. So once it is fixed and there is no power fluctuations also, if there is power fluctuations also, the data which is stored in the computer will be saved. But volatile memory like RAM, it will not save whenever the power fluctuation is happening in the computer. Okay, but this volatile memory size is small, but non-volatile memory the size is large. So for example, if you are taking hard disk only, so hard disk, the size of this hard disk will be more. Okay, but the RAM size is small. Okay, stores the programs and data currently needed by the CPU. So currently means on that particular point of time, whatever the programs is required by the CPU, so that will be stored in the RAM. So that is in volatile memory. But in the non-volatile memory, so that is permanent memory, the data will be stored in huge amount of data and that will be saved forever. So huge amount of data can be stored in the secondary store, that is non-volatile memory like hard disk. Okay, So volatile memory's processing speed is very fast, but this non-volatile memory's processing speed is slow. Okay, so volatile memory is very expensive, whereas non-volatile memory, it is not expensive. So expensive in the sense more cost, but non-volatile memory is also expensive. Compared to the volatile memory, it is not so much of cost effective. Okay, so these are the differences. So first difference is it is a temporary memory. So volatile memory is a temporary memory, non-volatile memory is a permanent memory. So next, the volatile memory is small, non-volatile memory is large. So next, stores the programs and data currently needed by the CPU. So this one, it can be stored for the huge amount of data for longer time. For nth time also we can store in the non-volatile memory. Processing speed in volatile memory is fast. Processing speed in non-volatile memory is slow. Volatile memory is expensive. Non-volatile memory is inexpensive. Volatile memory is a temporary. Non-volatile memory is a permanent. Okay. So these are all the differences between volatile and non-volatile memory. Okay. So next we'll see language translators means what. So what are language translators? So the translators, language translators, are the programs that converts program in one language, program in one programming language into another programming language is called as language translators. So always programs will be translated from one programming language to another programming language. So then it is called as language translators. So for example, it may be assembler, interpreter, compiler. So assembler, translator, what it will do? So it will convert assembly level language to machine level language. So that is done by the assembler. Interpreter, high level language into low level language or machine level language or binary level language. So all the three terms, binary level language, low level language or machine level language, are one and the same. So by interpreters, high level language will be converted into low level language line by line. So every line by line, high level language will be converted into low level language. So next, compilers. So compilers also will do the same thing, conversion from high level language to low level language, but not line by line. Whole full program will be converted from high level language to low level language. Okay. So next, write the flowchart for swapping of two numbers. So swapping of two numbers means what? So A, B is there. So if for example A value is 10, B value is 20. After swapping, A value should come 20 and B value should come 10. So this is the meaning of swapping of two numbers. So here first there we have to input the values of A and B. Before that we have to start the algorithm. So start. After writing the start, we have to input the values of A and B. So next what we have to write? We have to include the logic. So by using temporary variable, third variable, we are assigning the temporary values to A. And then A value is assigned to B, and by finally B's value will be coming for temp. So now A value will be swapped to B, B value will be swapped to A. So finally we are displaying A and B. And lastly we need to stop by using oval. Okay. So this is the flow chart we have to write for the swapping of two numbers. So flowchart here means what? It is a pictorial representation of each operations, each representations of algorithm. We have to write in the graphical or pictorial representations. Next question we'll move on for. So mention the two characteristics of OOPS. So OOPS will have the following characteristics, like it supports objects, it supports classes, data abstraction is supported, polymorphism is supported, dynamic binding is supported, message passing. So these are all the characteristics which is supported by object oriented programming. Objects, classes, data abstraction is there, polymorphism is there. Next one, dynamic binding is there, message passing is there. So these are all the characteristics of OOPS. Okay. So next one, explain any two fundamental data types in C++. So fundamental data types means what? The basic data types. So basic data type will include integer data type, floating data type, character data type, and then void data type. So among that we have to explain any two. So int data type. So int data type is used to store integers. So in the last question paper, 5 marks question is there. Question I have discussed, right? So int data type is used to store the integers. So it will be having without any fractional parts. So only whole numbers will be present in the integer data type. So no decimal number. So decimal number in the sense what? Point will not be there. Okay, so it can be positive number or it can be negative number also. So what is its range? So its range is minus 327862 plus 32767. So this is the range for integer data types. Okay, so next floating data types. So floating data type means what? To represent the real numbers. So real numbers will have points. So for example 11.45. So here after point you are having two numbers. So like this, if the number is there, so then it is called as floating data type. Okay, a floating data type is used to store real numbers. So numbers such as 1.8, 4.5, 12e, minus 5. So all this will be called as floating point numbers. So here also again we can include positive numbers and negative numbers. So the range is this much. So between this range the floating numbers can be included. Okay. So next question is, explain any two character handling functions. So character handling functions will have explain any two string handling functions. So string handling functions will have like functions string length, string copy. So string length means how many characters are there in the particular string can be obtained by using string length function. So for example, if you are having apple, so like this there, right? So here it will have 5 characters. So it will return 5 as a string length. So next, string copy. So string copy means what? It will copy one string to another string. So that is done by using string copy. So strcpy of str1 comma str2. So here this str2 will be copied for str1. So str means what here? String. One string will be copying for the another string. So that is done by using string copy function. Okay. So next, explain the object code and the source code. So object code means the program which is written in machine level language. So after conversion by the compiler, so all the programs will be in machine level language. So that is zeros and ones. So this program is referred as object code. So next is source code. So source code means all the main programs whatever written in human understandable language, high level language, are called as source program or source code. Okay. So this ends the part B of third question paper, third model question paper. So it will be helpful for you all. Just go through the video and you have to write all the questions in the assignment book. Thank you all.